Now we're going to talk about mid-stance, which is where the leg is vertical. In fact, it continues vertical all the way up. I can't do it with my elbow. And the most important thing is that the fetlock right here is fully depressed. In fact, the fetlock at mid-stance, when an animal's coming off a jump or running hard, this fetlock may come down far enough so that the sesamoids and the tendons between them will actually contact the surface. So the fetlock can come all the way down to here, hit the ground. This phase mechanically is significant because the total amount of force that acts on the leg may, even at a slow trot, will exceed the animal's body weight. So animal's body weight on one leg. Coming off a jump or at a fast gallop, the total force on the leg may be 2.5 times the animal and rider's body weight, just on the one leg. So the danger of this phase is just the total amount of force involved. Every single structure in the leg and tissue in the leg is vulnerable to injury simply because of the amount of force. And if the force is misapplied because the leg's not quite in the right position, you can get fractures and you can get ruptures of tendons. Any suspensory or superficial deflexor tendon rupture is likely to occur in this phase. Mid-stance is a bit of a puzzle in terms of trying to assess how to prevent injuries during mid-stance, because this bending action of the fetlock, let's do it that way, bending action of the fetlock is actually really important to the way the animal runs and the way it runs fast, and also saves energy while it's running. Because as the fetlock is descending, it's stretching the tendons around here, and as they bounce back and throw the animal forward, that saves it energy. So you don't want to minimize that energy saving effect, but you do want to sort of balance the energy saving with the total amount of force coming down here, which threatens to fracture bones or rupture tendons. Probably the best approach to it is to condition the bones and tendons appropriately, and from a young age, depending on the discipline, devise or put into play an appropriate training mechanism, which first over time conditions the bones, and we have a lot of good information on how fast bones remodel and strengthen from early ages on, but also the tendons, because they will actually remodel and condition themselves to the loading in a similar way, but a different mechanism to bone that takes quite a bit longer. But there is good evidence in some of the research literature of ways that you can condition tendons. So if you can condition both the bones and tendons to the kinds of loads they experience, then they're much less likely to break. Where that becomes a little tricky is if you're training on one surface and racing on another. In the ideal world, a horse probably should be trained on a number of different surfaces, so that whatever racing surface it meets, its legs are already conditioned for that surface. If that's not possible, then try and train on a surface that's as close as possible to the racing surfaces, again, so that the bones and the tendons are conditioned for moving at high speeds and experiencing the maximum forces with minimal danger of injury to the legs.